the most frustrating thing is, believe it or not, those of you that are watching this that are deaf, I'm sure have had the same problem.
Hey y'all, good morning. So as you probably know, we have my dad staying with us for a week, which is awesome. And a few days ago when I made a video kind of introducing him, y'all had lots of questions. You wanted to know more about his stroke survivor story, and you wanted to know more about his hearing loss. And I decided we're gonna do the hearing loss video first, and then eventually we'll do his stroke survivor story. My dad's very happy to share about it, don't worry. I'm not pressuring him or anything. So yes, let's answer your questions about my father's hearing loss. So, okay, Daddy, question number one. What happened? Why are you deaf? What's going on?
Well, I think it started, in fact I know it started, I was in the Royal Artillery, British Army, when I was very young. And we went, when I was in, they changed over from the standard British Lee Enfield 303 rifle to the Belgian FN, and everybody was infatuated with it. We were using it. Then we ended up with the 105, 108 howitzer. We ended up rid of the old British standard artillery gun and ended up with a pack howitzer. In those days, nobody was concerned about ear protectors, so you never wore ear protection at all. And that together, I think, started the downturn. And in fact, I know it did for sure, because when I got to Canada, I noticed my hearing was getting bad. And I started off, when I lived in Montreal, I went to MIT and got fitted for the first pair of hearing aids I ever had, which were made by Jaquie, and they were revolutionary in those days. That they could actually change the volume.
How old were you when you started with the hearing loss? And
probably mid to late 30s, it became really evident. And it seemed to be something to get concerned about, because it seemed to be getting worse. But I don't remember specifically, but it was probably about then.
the other question they asked a lot is, why don't you just get hearing aids so you can hear perfectly?
Because there's no perfect hearing aid, and everybody's hearing loss is different. I've got probably the best you can get at the moment for me, according to the audiologist, but they all think they're the best at the moment. That's how they sell them. They say these are better than what you've already had. So I've tried all the leading brands, and it doesn't seem to make much difference, because your hearing loss, you'll never get it back as much as you hope you will. I've got tinnitus, severe tinnitus. I can hear it above everything. I can be watching a movie on TV with my hearing aids in, and I can still hear the tinnitus. You can buy, your hearing aids can actually mask the sound. They produce a sound that cancels out that frequency, but it's still one of those things that's there. I think one of the big accelerators of my hearing loss was when I was in Indonesia. I was ill quite a couple of times with the local ailments, and I had
Damage from that?
Huh?
You had damage from that, right?
Yeah.
Didn't you also get meningitis?
I got meningitis.
And that?
And I got viral meningitis. So I called a doctor in Singapore that I'd known for a long time. He said, "You sound like you got something, you better get on a plane." I told him the problems I was having. He said, "You better get on a plane and come over to Singapore now, and I'll wait for you at the clinic." And he did, and I got over, and he hooked me up to a drip feed in the clinic to get rid of the meningitis. I rely primarily on, if I wear a t-shirt. One t-shirt said, "If I can't see your face, I can't hear you," because you automatically learn to lip read, and I'm not bad at it. But that together with the hearing aids I have, I survive. I wouldn't say it's excellent. I wear this thing around my neck, which controls the environment I'm in. I can make changes to the volume.
To his hearing aids. It's pretty cool.
And I have another gadget here, which is a remote microphone. I turn this on,
And then I can clip it here and he can hear me better.
And it goes directly to my ears, and my telephone goes directly to my
his
ears.
Hearing aids.
Same as the computer, same as the television.
And he has a program that if I call him, it converts what I'm saying into text, and it's pretty accurate.
It converts the voice to text.
Yeah, but even with all of these things, it's not perfect, right?
No, it's still hard to manage. The most frustrating thing is, believe it or not, those of you that are watching this that are deaf, I'm sure have had the same problem. When somebody tells you something and you don't get it right, they get very frustrated with you and they get angry with you. Because maybe in one time in one environment you can hear better than another because of resonance and background noise.
Mm-hmm.
And they get very upset with you. They think you're just paying attention to them, and they get. That's probably the most depressing thing about being deaf, is people don't understand what being deaf. Being deaf is not just a matter of not hearing; it's a matter of not communicating, other than communicating negatively by attitude from other people. That's very, very, very disturbing.
Growing up with his hearing loss taught me to be very patient, and he's very good at communicating with me. There are certain people that he's familiar with, he can hear better and lip read better. So we've always been able to communicate.
I'm scared to not listen.
Yeah, because being deaf, it's chronic, and it's like other diagnoses, it affects everyone differently, and there's not a treatment that works for everyone, and everyone handles it differently.
A little while ago, about 2 years ago, I had a stroke, and that impacted my hearing too, slightly, but it's come back. My stroke recovery has been actually pretty good.
Yeah. The stroke, what I noticed is it made you have to work harder to hear.
Yeah, you
and it can be tiring for him, especially if we're in an environment with lots of noise or there's lots of people conversing. He has to make an effort to keep up with the conversation and to hear, and that can be tiring, So.
And that's the next thing that happens when you don't hear well after you've had a stroke. As some of you may unfortunately know, your brain has to work really hard to transcribe, the same as the telephone does it easily, to transcribe it into something you can understand.
Because process information.
You have to reconnect all the misconnected wires. So, and it gets better and it gets better, but it's not fast. But people that don't understand the problem frustrate the process, and then you get the negative effects of post-stroke syndrome. You get the dizziness, and you get free from exhaustion, and you actually get to the point where you turn off your hearing internally. I can turn it off and not hear if I want to, which is quite good, useful sometimes, especially when I'm watching programs I'm not interested in.
Or my mom is annoying you.
Oh, really? Yeah, ex-wives tend to annoy. The misconception is, for people that aren't deaf, is that hearing aids, and by people that you meet that don't understand deafness, they think if they talk to you louder, you'll hear them. That isn't the case at all, because what you've got is certain frequencies missing in your hearing range, and if you talk louder, they're still missing. All you just hear is the other things. Like me, what I've lost in my hearing is the high-end frequencies.
Some of you also asked about sign language. He doesn't know it, I don't know it, no one in our family knows sign language, but it may be something we're interested in pursuing in the future.
You have to look after your hearing. Avoid the loud noises, avoid, don't go deer hunting without wearing ear protectors, or make sure you're going after a deer that doesn't shoot back. So, they're very bad, they're not good for you.
Has being deaf taught you anything or brought you anything positive?
It's taught me that you can communicate without talking a lot of the time. Your facial expressions, without knowing sign language, you can get the message across if you really want to. And it's taught me that an enormous amount of people don't understand deafness. They definitely don't understand what a stroke is and the effects it has on people, and how negative their reaction to you can actually make you worse. You then tend to take your time to try to understand things better, and you tend to become more tolerant of things that you weren't tolerant of before.
More accepting and understanding.
Yeah, because the things that used to frustrate me now are nothing compared to the frustration of deafness. So I've learned patience. You need that with me. No, with you I don't. You're the best. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. My hearing, the encouragement I got when I had the stroke. There was a smiling face and sunshine came in the room.
thank you for answering the questions, and by doing this, you know, he said kind of the most frustrating thing is just the misunderstanding and the stigma, so hopefully this cleared some of that up. Goodbye, and thanks for joining us on our adventure.